Hello, I meant to get this video uploaded a lot sooner as it was time-sensitive information. However, the time sensitivity of it really has come and gone. Too bad, right? Though despite that, the content and overall view of the old version of the video game, as compared to the new one that was about to come out, is still noteworthy information and valuable viewing in retrospect. So pretend to rewind back to mid-August and put yourself there, and all this will make a little more sense. Thank you, and enjoy. Good evening, B3 Burner here, and I got something a little bit different. You've seen all kinds of videos from me over the years. Car videos, music videos, even planetarium star videos, but this is a little different. I'm videotaping a video game, something I normally don't do, but this is called BeamNG, and I'll get more into general details of what this game is later. I have a specific reason for recording tonight, but to make a long story short, it's basically a sandbox physics game involving cars and a study of how they deform when you crash them, either into other cars or into buildings. Its end object is not to score points like in a typical car racing game, but rather to experiment with the physics of motion. So with that being said, we'll save that for later and we will move on to the purpose of this video. BeamNG releases new versions from time to time, and this is version 0.16, and they are about to release 0.17, and it's going to include some updates to default maps. A default map as opposed to a map that was made by a third-party artist. This map is called East Coast USA because it is supposed to be simulating central Maine, near the Maine-New Hampshire border. And what I want to do is go through some key areas where they are going to make changes, because once they make the changes, you will never see it this way again. And I say that because BeamNG, the video game, is updated through the Steam system. The idea is that any updates that need to be done go through the pipe, and if you downloaded the game through Steam, you get the updates automatically. That's a good thing. It means you don't have to update them yourself. Problem is, and the downside is, that if you want to save a prior version for posterity, Steam will not let you. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if you open up the game on Steam Live, even if you were to save an old copy of the old version on a flash drive or as a file on a separate hard drive and copy and paste it into the game, as soon as you open it up, Steam is going to immediately try to take your old version copy and update it to the current version. So I don't think there is a way, unless you find some way to fire up the game offline, that you can trick the game into letting you run an old version without Steam catching wind of it and immediately grabbing it and updating it to the next version. So that is really where we're at right now. This is version 16, and we're on the fuzzy edge of moving into version 17 in a few days or next week sometime. Everybody's talking about it. Forums are abuzz about this update, and so what I want to do is drive around some of the key areas and show you what is going to happen. On the northwest corner of this map sits a gas station. Take a good look at it. This is the last time you are going to see it looking like this. Starting next week, when they update the game, this building is going to be redone. The sign is going to be redone. The red roof of the canopy is going to be redone. All that's going to change. This parking lot that you see with ample room for parking is going to get filled in, and they are going to build a building over here, and it's going to be a blue-roofed building, and it looks like they're going to put in garages, and that's going to be a service building for working on cars. So it's going to take out this entire area of parking. You will not be able to park a car there anymore. The fuel island will remain in the same place, but the width between the island and the building and the island and this gravel off to the side will will change. See this ditch down here that it's like really easy to run off the road before you get to this bus stop sign? They're leaving the bus stops in here. This one, the covered stop, and the non-covered stop across the street. But what they're going to do is they're going to fill in this ditch with pavement. I think the rocks are disappearing. There might still be a slight indentation where the price sign is, but a greater deal of this is going to be in pavement so that you're less likely to run into a gully when you're coming off the road to pull into the gas station, which is probably a good thing because even I've made the mistake of wiping out and wrecking my car a few times pulling into here. I can't remember after looking at the pictures whether the price of gas is going to change or they're going to leave it the same. That's a little inaccurate by today's standards, but that's okay. Have a good look at how it is right now and come back to my video for reference if you ever want to see what it was like before the version 17 change, because it's coming soon. And as I said earlier, once it changes, I'm not sure you can get back to seeing it the way it used to be unless you know a way to run an old version without Steam constantly wanting to update it. Okay, so now that we've taken a sufficient look at the gas station, let's drive out of here and toward the city. We're going to come out of this parking lot. I'm going to make it right. And as we leave the gas station, there is something I want to show you. Long before we even get to town, let's stop over here and I'll give you a sample of what I'm talking about. And this is as good a place as any. It's a wood bridge. And let's step outside. And if you notice, as we slowly step away from our van, or excuse me, our pickup truck, you'll notice that the wood bridge here has cross slats that run latitudinally from left to right across the bridge, perpendicular to the flow of traffic. And I believe this is standard fare for most of the bridges. Let's drive a little further and see if it's the same for others. This might be where we started from. Okay, here's another wood bridge. Unless it's the same one we started with. Could that be? No, that's a different one. Oh yeah, this is by the waterfall. There's gonna be another one over here. There we go. Okay, there we go. Wood bridge over here. Again, latitudinal slats. There's going to be another one over here. There we go. Oh! Whoa, wait a minute. Okay, it's a little bit of both. This is the covered bridge. You've got lengthwise slats for the tires mixed with cross slats. Okay, so that's a different example. They might leave that the same. Come out over this way by the rock barrier. There's going to be another bridge over here. Here we go. This is the far north side bridge. And again, okay, there you can see cross slats. All right. Cross slats on this bridge. Ah, there we go. Yeah. Okay, that's what I wanted to zoom in on. Okay. Another crossboard bridge over here. Right? Crossboard bridge. Okay, but returning to my west side bridge where my truck is parked, the point is that the cross slats is what everything up through version 16 was, and I believe starting in version 17, the bridges, all the wood bridges, are going to go to a lengthwise pattern where the slats run longitudinally, lengthwise, parallel to the flow of traffic. They're going to look more like the longboards you see on a basketball court as opposed to crossboards. Now, are they going to do that with all the bridges? I can't say for sure. I don't know. I haven't opened up version 17 yet. They might leave a few crossboarded. They might turn all of them longboarded. They may leave the covered bridge that's over here exactly the way it is, with long boards for the wheels and cross boards for the rest of it, like I had shown you a few minutes earlier. But at any rate, the majority of the wood bridges are going to go from crossboard to longboard. And that's another minor but definitive change when we move from version 16 to version 17, so keep an eye out for that. And we are going to bear right. Why? Because we don't want to go on the street to the left that's exiting northwest. We want to exit to the north. This is the main street that takes you north out of the city, and there's a reason I am showing you this. Notice that the last building is here. You can see behind my truck the last of this town. And see all this lush vegetation? Yeah, I want you to notice that, because a key element of that, they are taking all this vegetation out and they're going to put in another gas station, a gas station just north of town. So all this will be stripped out, leveled, and a new gas station is going to be put in. I assume that they're going to oust out and remove the dirt path. They might leave this three-way intersection in place with this road going west, but I'm not entirely sure. But this is going to be gone and paved in, which is interesting, because if we come into the thick over here, it looks like there might be a slight change in elevation. And for whatever reason, or somehow, they're going to find a way to flatten this out so that the elevation change is not as noticeable. And I imagine where these sidewalks end are going to eventually be continued. They're going to continue with this. And what you will see starting next week is, like I said, everything from this building, and right now we are looking due south up this street. Everything north of this building toward me, but on the west side of the street, which is the right side of the street when you're looking south, all this is going to be paved in, and you're going to have a second gas station. So take a good look and remember what this used to look like, because pretty soon it's not going to look like this at all. In fact, if you look at the edge of the foliage of the property here, you can almost see a rectangle that's perfect for cutting out a slab for a gas station. So what they're doing is just expanding on an idea that was probably set for expansion from years ago, and they're just finally capitalizing on it. So that's the second thing I want to show you. Now what I want to do is we're going to go to the Sawmill. This is the Sawmill. Take a good look at this. The only area that's inhabited with sawmill buildings and what looks like an area in dirt where they circled around is this small section to the north of the dirt road. Everything to the south of the dirt road, see this open grass area? They're going to take the Sawmill in version 17 and extend it from this corner all the way out to this corner and open up the Sawmill so that it's one continuous dirt area. It'll be like a big figure-8 racetrack in a circle so that you can actually go dirt racing along this entire perimeter. And I don't remember exactly where the buildings are going to be, but they might add some corrugated steel roof or tin roof buildings around the perimeter on this side. Remove some of these trees, remove all the trees in the center, remove this dirt path, because now this will presumably all be one piece of property. I think they're leaving the paved road where it currently is right now, but they're going to add to this. So remember what this used to look like, because pretty soon it's not going to look like that anymore. Get back down to first person drive. Yeah, let's get back in the truck, and so we're not ghost riding on the back of our own pickup. And you can see it takes up a certain amount of space, but very limited. Come out here near the dirt trail. Actually, I don't think I can get too far over here. Yeah. Okay, never mind. That was a bad idea. But the point is, this whole area will be dirt track, and they're going to make it look like Derby, USA is what they're going to make that look like, at least that small part of it. So, okay, good enough there. Okay, so now that we're done looking at the Sawmill area, let's get ourselves back over to the town. And they're going to change some qualities of the town itself. They're going to make the trees more lush. They're going to change the striping on the crosswalks. Look at these crosswalks. They look like they have those broad stripes like they used in the Beatles' Abbey Road album, where the four of them were crossing the street in London. They're going to use more conventional looking crosswalk markings, and they're just going to dress up and make the overall quality of the city look better. I don't remember the exact details. Unless you look really closely and do an A-B comparison, you're not going to notice that as obvious as, say, adding a gas station or adding a building on a gas station. Let's take the pickup truck back down to the east exit out of town. So we're headed back toward the bridge on the southeast corner of town, the one we first went over, because now I want to take you on the low road out along the rocky beach. As we come down here, we have some places off to the left, driver's side, where you can see the ocean in the distance, and a rock beach below. Okay, so there's a reason I'm taking it down here as well. Now, I might not be in the correct location. I'm presuming this is the correct location, but let's stop, about here. We'll go external camera, and you can see the rocky shore along here. I believe somewhere in here, in this area, near the low canopy of trees, they're going to add buildings in like a little town down here. David and Art did a pretty good job on his video of guessing where that might be. Let's come up here. So let's try up over here. Maybe it's in here, where this little cove comes in with the island off over here, is where they're going to put a resort town just to the north of this little blue cabin, a blue vacation resort cabin. This is one of my favorite houses or cabins to go to and park at when I'm ready to rest and relax in the summertime. So maybe it's going to be here. Continuing on off the low road, let's get back up going north. I have another idea as to where this place might be. The place where they have what looks like a resort area with added houses, like a resort village. We're going to continue north along the east edge of the map. Ocean off to my right. Now, this was my other thought. Right as you get to the northeast corner of the main road, right before it elbows and bends, you have the rock boundary off to the left. I'm getting ready to slow down. My other thought was it was somewhere here, and you know what? That just doesn't look right. Because in order to add a village, they're not going to falsely change the elevation and flatten out an entire area that otherwise is high, steep cliffside, because I think that would ruin the integrity of the default map. So the more I think about it, even though this kind of looks like an outline of a cove with the same island off the coast like we saw earlier on the south side of the map, I just don't think this would be suitable for the area I was describing earlier. I just really think right where this grass area is, kind of think of this as a triangle, this to me would be more likely what was displayed in the trailer that the BeamNG development team released the end of last week, and I just find that to be more believable. Okay, so next area I'd like to talk about, since we're in the town next to the church, is let's turn the corner over here. Looking northwest to the exit out of town in front of us, let's elevate ourselves in height. And see this hill ridge in the foreground? And as we get closer to it, top of the hill with the farmland to the west and the town of Firwood back behind us and to the east sits this expanded hillside. I think they're going to put a ranger tower or a fire lookout station right up over here. They're going to clear brush and trees, put some dirt access roads, put dirt or gravel surrounding it entirely. And I think the lookout tower is going to be about here. And this would be a perfect place for a fire watch tower since I believe this is the highest point on the map, aside from the mountain ranges in the background, which are not actually drivable on, but are rather just for scenery. So as we move into version 17, look for that to transpire. I do not have an exact location, but as you can see, they already have dirt access roads in place that all they would have to do is expand upon them. You have asphalt access road there. You have a dirt access road to the west, a second road to the west. This road on the west side of the top of the ridge, as well as this paved road on the east side of the ridge. Plenty of access roads that they can develop and turn into the Firewatch lookout. So I believe this is where it's going to happen. And as we move into version 17, let's keep an eye out for that. Let's talk about the waterfall. And to get to the waterfall, we need to get to West Bridge. And we'll fly under here. Sorry about that. Let me slow this down so you don't get nauseous while you're looking at this. I have a bad habit of doing that. That doesn't look like much of a waterfall, does it? Maybe we're in drought right now. Well, somewhere up here is a waterfall. It just must be further up, and I don't remember where it is. Bear left or bear right? 50-50. Let's go this way again. I'm seldom on the waterways. Oh, there we go. Let's look at the waterfall. They're going to make it look like it has a spray, that it's more realistic looking. I think that's pretty darn good looking as it is, but you know, that's, I guess, to purists and people who really know special effects in computers, this is really 2013-ish, and we're trying to bring it up 6 years to 2019, and the update's going to do that. So this is going to look like a bit of waterfall. So with that being said, let's go the long way around and return to our first gas station, where I'll drop you off so you can get back to your car and go home. Alright, I see the gas station sign in the distance, so we're almost there. Slow down, slow down, slow down. Here we go. And pull on in. And there we go. Try to pull in approximately where I started. Give or take a parking spot. Turn off the engine. Okay, so the next area I'd like to talk about in our final farewell to version 16 of BeamNG is Hirochi Raceway. And as we scan the horizon and look at the mountainsides, if you think this looks an awful lot like East Coast USA, you're not alone. This is supposed to be Maine as well, so that really should come as no surprise. Now, I'm not a real expert on this map because, let's face it, I'm more of a relaxed countryside driver, scenery driver, than I am a race driver. So I don't go on this map too often. But if we were to come out here on the side somewhere, just so we can get high above the region and look out at it, you can see that it has a generous scope, but is still somewhat limited in that most of the race course areas revolve around the internal racetrack. I believe in version 17 there's going to be this is going to open up. They're going to have they're going to clear away these trees and actually have an external racetrack, possibly some figure eights, a few more things going on than just the long straight ovals and turns that you see over here. And that would be interesting to see how they change that as we move from one version to the other. And let me just circle around the grandstand area, and have a look. And as I say, I don't want to spend too much time on this. Do I dare take a lap in the truck? Well, I suppose I could. A quick tour. So if we weren't to turn right back there and just follow the course, you can see that it's a fair enough course as far as how involved it is, but it is a little lacking in scope, and I do believe that the intention in version 17 is to increase its scope more in the direction of the trees that you see on the perimeter, and add additional tracking. Okay, I'm no race car driver by any stretch of the imagination. Do I dare continue? Okay, and I believe that's about it for my racing career. To make a long story short, they're going to do a lot more with the racetrack. So, I was never a big Hirochi Raceway fan, but if you were and you used it a lot, then take one last nostalgic look at how it looked in version 16, because I have a feeling they're going to redo the inner circle here. We got some garages. They're going to redo the grandstands and the starting line area. I think they do a little bit more than just those somewhat drab and boring stands. And as I say, for 2013 or 14, this was pretty high tech. They did a good job here, but I think a lot of people feel, or the developers feel, hey, we can do better than this. So expect something that looks a little bit more true to form in 2019. And that's probably enough for now, so I will bid you adieu on this particular map or project. Well now, B3 Burner be deep in the heart of Texas, the Lone Star State. If I were to pick a place where this maybe is, I would say a little bit south of Dallas, maybe between Dallas and Houston, working your way toward the coast of the Gulf of Mexico, toward Galveston. But who knows? It's all more or less fictitious. This is what the old Derby Arena looks like for version 16. And again, like I've said in the past, get a good look at it because there's going to be some changes. Now, unlike East Coast USA, where there was a lot of things to change, here in Derby Arena, there really isn't too much they can do with it. It was limited in scope to begin with, the idea being racing and corralling and demolition. And if we look at some of these, especially this one that's surrounded by K-rails, you can't even get in here unless you F7 your truck in here. F7. You can't drive in here. Before I knew F7 was even an option, when I first started playing this game, I said, how in the world do I get a truck in here, or any vehicle? What's the point? I just assume one of these K-rails should be open so that you can get in here. My understanding is that in version 17, they're not going to necessarily change the track. They're just going to update the surfaces, make them a little bit more lifelike. They're probably going to do more with each individual arena. Here's the mud arena. Here is the, gravel and mud arena, surrounded by a ditch on either side. Hey, at least you can get in it. That's more than I can say for the one that's completely surrounded by K-rails. You can't get in at all. They might do more with the corrugated building over here so that you can do more with it, other than slalom and race your way around the cement supported pillars that hold up the girders of the building and the roof. It's a second arena that is completely surrounded by K-rails that good luck getting in there unless you F7 yourself. Boom. F7. There it is. Oh, wait a minute. One of them is open. Look at this. Okay. Well, they had the forethought to leave a K-rail out so that you could get in there in version 16. Too bad they didn't do that in the other one. Again, I don't use this one too often, but I do want to show you this only because I know for a fact that this is one of the maps they touted as being the ones they're going to change the most. We're back over to where we started in the brown circle X. Ah, there it is. It looks like a cement plant. Something with a big, deep... I don't understand the point of this. Unless you're trying to destroy cars on purpose. There's some big, long shaft that you can fall down. I don't think they changed that much. This basic structure and how it takes up space remains the same. They might update the buildings, but that's about it. This is the old Derby Arena, and whether they add additional arenas or merely clean up the ones that exist. So what do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus this cement pit. Whether they merely clean up and update them or add more to the fold as part of the version 17 update remains to be seen, at least for me. I'll give you one last glimpse at what things used to look like in version 16. So that's Derby Arena, and with that, I'll again bid you adieu and say goodnight. That's it. So there, in a nutshell, those are some brief descriptors of areas where I know there's going to be changes, and that's the last of what it's going to look like for version 16, the last few remaining days of version 16 before its final hurrah, before they move over to version 17. So with that, goodbye.